Random Acts of Kindness Day is coming up this week. It's Saturday, February 17th. So it's a good time to hear from Sandra Bosacki. She's a professor at Brock's Faculty of Education, and she studies kindness. Dr. Bosacki, a little touch of kindness goes a long way, doesn't it?
Correct. That's a great way to start. And yes, and again, thank you for inviting me. And it's a real pleasure to be here and to share some of our really exciting, I'm really excited to look at this area of kindness. And yes, there's a great deal of research that does show that there are benefits of being kind to others as well as to oneself. So we actually look at that in teenagers and adolescents. That's what we're focusing on, because there's some research with adults that do show that there's benefits for overall well-being. You're less likely to feel lonely. You're less likely to feel anxious and depressed when you're just engaging in conversation that enacts pro-social acts, kindness, and also there's cognitive benefits as well. You can score higher on cognitive tests, for example, and but actually very little work has been done with teenagers, and so that's why we're exploring this, and especially given that adolescence is such a time where so many transitions are occurring at once in terms of social, cognitive, physical, emotional, and being kind to others. And just in terms of, you could simply smile, engage in a conversation that's lend an ear and actually listen with sensitivity. That's a kind act. Opening the door for somebody. So simple acts like that can actually help you to feel better and to cope with some of the stressors that are going on, especially with teenagers these days.
What is involved in participating in that study?
Yes, thank you for asking about that. And yes, we're actually really interested in hearing the voices of the youth and hearing what they think kindness is to them. So actually trying to ask them what their definition of kindness is when they think of being kind in their thoughts, in their actions for themselves and others. What do they do? How do they speak to themselves? So we're also interested in their self-language and their self-talk. If it's kind and gentle, or is it more kind of, harsh and punishing if you, for example, don't do well on the test? Are you saying, oh, should have done better, this is awful, or saying it's okay, we'll try again, I'll do better.
I imagine, Sandra, that it's easier for a teen to have more positive self-thoughts when someone is kind to him or her as well.
Yes, that's a great point. And there is a little bit of research on that shows that you can learn kind acts through just watching and observing, for example, starting off with your family, with young children, and role modeling, for example. But that continues on into the classroom. So a kind, compassionate classroom climate led by the teacher who's a leader, but also by the peers. And that just becomes almost like a cycle of kindness. Kind acts lead to kind thoughts, and it circulates, and it's reciprocal. So that's a great point. And so our research is we're looking for parents who have children between 11 years old and 18 years old. If you do have children that you think would be interested, we need parents to email us at tomelab at brocku.ca. And if they email us, we'll send them a consent form. They fill it out all online. It's all online. And then we set a session with their child online. So it takes about maybe an hour to be with the researcher online, just like we are today, and go through some questionnaires, ask them about kindness, and the tasks take about an hour up to the child. And that's finished, and they get compensated as well.
And there's also a follow-up survey coming up next year that they can have some kind of access to if they're interested.
Yes, exactly. So we'll meet with them again roughly 12 months from now. Yes.
It sounds fascinating. And when does this study wrap up, Sandra?
We're looking for interested participants up to this summer, and again, even if they, and we'll be posting recruiting again in the summer for starting another year. So it continues on. It's a longitudinal study that's been funded by the SSHRC granting agency in Canada, the federal granting agency. So we're very grateful. It's over 5 years, but we're focusing this particular study on kindness and thinking skills and self-esteem and areas of self-worth and how they're all connected to each other.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. Bosacki, and it's the Theory of Mind in Education Lab at Brock University for more information. Thanks again.